So they've abandoned me to talking to myself for the next 2 hours, so hopefully I don't become entirely crazy by the time I get this thing finished. As mentioned, this is a loser bracket match. jmeasher was upset in round 1 by Chloe Prower as the 15th seed. He was presumably a little bit grouchy about that. And SuperNinTaylor is another sort of name-ish player, but only came in as the 47th seed. So after losing round 1, we'll be hoping to continue. The overlay is Siberian's job, Rob. So hopefully he sorts it out. It looks like jmeasher is running as my favorite Nintendo character, Toad. Though I don't actually use this sprite because it's a bit weird. As Tommy Lee says in chat, wishing good luck to the runners. That seems remarkably kind for Twitch chat. I feel like Twitch chat wants the worst possible luck for the runners for go mode and validation chest or on the pyramid or somewhere else awful. We'll see what opening these guys choose. There's actually been a lot of divergence in the community over the last little while, with the sort of traditional fake flipper to Houlihan's start being superseded to some extent by people just starting straight at the sanctuary to gain as much information as quickly as possible. The sec start's probably pretty volatile in that all kinds of things can happen. Big key to Thieves' Town is a bit suspicious of a thing to be finding in Link's house, but we'll see if that ever turns up. Oh yeah, jmeasher is a go right guy. I knew that. If you can hear the motorcycles in the background, I apologize. I live on a fairly major street, and so that happens fairly often. Sorry about that, Twitch chat. jmeasher finding desert on the right side on his expedition to the right. I totally missed what was in which is that? No, there's nothing. Oh, it's Thieves' Town, which we just found the big key for. That's not suspicious at all. jmeasher finding a book in Meyer Shed. Not the most useful item early, but not nothing. Oh, and the gloves. Apparently I was looking at the wrong screen for a moment there. The gloves, of course, being a really nice-to-have item, not nearly as essential in Crosskeys as they are in open modes or whatever, but having access to them here mostly just gives you better routing, and of course access, things like access to Ice Palace, but and after a quick look around near Link's house, jmeasher is also heading up to get a Houlihan in. Taylor with a sexy flick flipper setup there. I haven't seen that one before. Certainly more effective than what I do. And bat at useless fairy. Be back someday to pick that up, maybe. But for an out-of-the-way place, that's a fine thing to be stuck here. So far, I think neither of them have found anything that will particularly shape their routing. jmeasher managed to find a single bomb somewhere, but this sort of South Cac route into 50-50 bushes is a pretty common way to make sure you have at least one bomb before you get to CAC, given they haven't found any interesting connectors. Any items that actually, let them do anything different. Is sort of what I'd expect. We'll see how long Taylor goes on the 50 bushes. Just the once. One bomb is a good start. And another part of desert. That's, of course, a connector to somewhere, but it's such a tedious connector, and there's only one item in there. I'm not surprised he's leaving it. Be back sooner or later. Smiths are in a really convenient spot, and gotta make sure you track those. But someday you can come back here. I'm attempting to run a tracker while commentating, a map tracker while commentating, so we'll see how this goes. A dark cave, but presumably not the old man rescue at library. Or I think we would have seen NinTaylor head straight through. Yep, Solarian, I'm just talking to myself over here. Ganon, nice to find. It means you can just throw yourself into the rest of the drop-downs with Abandon. And it does mean the hammer's hard required today, but it's pretty close to hard required anyway. I missed which drop was at Uncle. Two big keys in the two starting spots. That's exciting. And by exciting, I mean not very exciting at all. And the Sanctuary at the Pyramid, which in the short term isn't great because, bunnying around at the 5-minute mark is not anybody's idea of a good time. But ultimately it turns out to be a pretty good spawn point. The fact that they already have the sewers key in hand makes me suspicious because that means they can get to the back, with a lamp, of the castle. And so I would actually, if I was them, put a fairly high priority on getting to the back of Escape if and when they find the castle. jmeasher doing some bunny walking around to see what he can find out while he's here. This is a totally defensible play, especially given that it's sometimes totally illogic to have to bunny walk your way to the Moon Pearl. I do think it's kind of cruel to make Toad become an inanimate mushroom as his bunny form, but what do I know? jmeasher finding another useless one-chest entrance at the restock room. We'll see if this is where jmeasher finally heads to Kakariko. Yep, finally interested. It's a good deal. I'll pay $100 for $300 any day of the week. That's a lottery ticket win right there. And a lot of one-chest entrances in Kakariko, but nothing like particularly useful in here yet. Lots of a lot of chests for not a lot of gain. Uncle in the well, which means we're running out of ways for Aga. Something interesting is going to be behind the Aga 1. Hopefully it's nothing too major. Spiral Cave, everybody's favorite thing to find. Presumably come back and get that in a bit. With the cape in hand, it's not too terrible. You can do it, and with the hammer in hand, it is plenty easy enough. Well, it's not easy, but the game will make you do it. Yes, Robs. They can go to Ganon. That hammer that I said was going to be required by the end of the seed, they found it. It's early enough in the seed that 3 bombs are interesting. Old Man Rescue at above the fortune teller here, or Old Man House, is actually a super great place for that to be. In principle, it's possible for it not to be required in Crosskeys. Doesn't happen very often, but a key in the thief hut. I don't know if I would have bothered checking that. I think it's just throw yourself in the pit time, but going back to the old man cave, having a respawn point near a whole bunch of entrances would normally be, just to say in Kakariko, would normally be quite good, but there isn't very many things in Kakariko that we particularly need to get back to. Okay, that hoarder crab having $20 is way less exciting than it would have been 10 minutes ago, on account of this seed has come up with 596 rupees already. Weren't you just wishing them good luck like 10 minutes ago, Robs? A key at Lumberjack, almost as cruel. Yeah, of all the things to find on that ledge, a small key is amongst the most ambiguous. There's so many useless small keys, and then a few required ones. There's your well, as expected. I believe we've processed elimination of that. And SuperNinTaylor, not having found the glove just yet, is forced to leave it behind. But I'm sure we'll be back quite promptly when he turns up the glove. And Taylor deciding which connector he's the most interested in following, and opts for Spiral Cave. That hammer find makes this a lot more tenable than it would have been a while ago, though you can cape your way past the many Moldorms with all of that magic power he has. Spiral Cave spits him out at the safety door, which is somewhat inconvenient. Because you'd really like to have the mirror in hand before you come out there, so you can check. That might be your way to get to those two entrances. And you really don't want to have to go through Spiral Cave again. On the other hand, at least it's not somewhere really good. I have certainly played Seeds where I've gone through Spiral Cave half a dozen times because it was the only way into the Dark World. And I don't want to do that again. So. And NinTaylor decides that he's not nearly as interested in some bunny shenanigans as jmeasher was earlier. And so Seven quits out of that route early. Heading straight south. I assume this will just be a check of Light World type cave, or a fairy fountain, as it actually is. And then up and around, just because going south without a glove in hand is miserable. jmeasher getting the questionable news about this small key. If I'm a runner, I want that to either be definitely needed or definitely not needed. Not something that, not something like that. NinTaylor also getting on the key stealing train. It's nice to have it, just in case. Though they already have, and given that they've already found Desert Right, there's some chance that some Civ scumming shenanigans might be in the runner's future. Here's that glove and book. In a second, jmeasher is going to be showing us what's in the well, and as previously mentioned, because he already has found Ganon, is willing to just go straight in. Gets the good news. There's more of Desert. I thought they already found Desert Right, but that was Desert Left earlier. Turtle Rock Big Key, it's a good find. Given that at some point you're going to stumble across the big chest entrance. Plus you need it to beat Trinex. And of course a sword. So it'd be good for SuperNinTaylor to get back there reasonably promptly. With the glove in hand, NinTaylor gets to do this loop the efficient way, which is kind of nice. Going around this way is, in a lot of ways, much nicer than the sort of more standard ordering. jmeasher decides, with the stolen desert key in hand, to head on in here. And Hera. And Boots. Everybody likes Boots. They're not as big a deal as they could be. But they do open up a few items, a few entrances, and they're just nice. I think in terms of emotional response, people just really like having boots. Not having the sword in hand yet doesn't mean you obnoxiously can't run through bushes, which is annoying. And Taylor leaving Hyrule Castle behind, that surprises me. And apparently it surprises him, too. With the Sewer's Key in hand, I think there's just no reason not to go in here and get these items. It's not really getting much better. You have boots, you have hammer. Just do it. Desert Big Key, which, given that we've already found the back of Desert, is a bit spooky, but because of this the key stealing shenanigans that they're doing, back of Desert is not... Lembo is not actually beatable until you've found the small key, at least according to logic. Ooh, time for some laser skips. Nice, clean laser skips from jmeasher here. And he gets paid with a moon pearl, which is interesting. I don't know if I dropped some frames there, or if he just reset in the middle of picking up the moon pearl. I'm going to put that one down as a big question mark, question mark. Yeah, but that's a lot of work to... It's a lot of work to give up, Seru. SuperNinTaylor doing fireless back of escape, which is excitingly obnoxious, frankly. Trying to find the... Golek, he finished Laser Bridge, decided that he was willing to save scum the Desert Key because there was nothing good there, and now has to come back and redo his laser skips. And seems to have forgotten which the items were the good ones. Once you've bothered doing all your laser skips, I feel like it's worth remembering which ones you don't have to do again. Well, much better for him the first time. Yeah, I'm not... I'm not sure about this decision, but we shall see. Murdering a bunch of toads. Hopefully he got those one-ups earlier when he was forced to walk around as one. And choosing not to go in from the back, which of course he doesn't have a Canis Mario yet, so we can't. And finding the Death Mountain Descent Dark Cave there. QQ Nimbus, that's it. This is a cross-key sanity game race. People nowadays call it fast ganon. It's not really fast ganon because the pyramid entrance is not opened until you beat Aga 2. This goal was called Crystals for a long time, but since regular Rando now has fast ganon, they call it fast ganon here too. apparently our exclamation point crosskeys command is broken. And SuperNinTaylor, having cleared out all the items, takes a death warp and heads to the front. I wasn't watching when they picked up. There's another must exit. It's not actually, it's a mirror location. Well, that's a decent thing to find. Castle left. Pod in Village of Outcasts. It's kind of obnoxious to kill yourself here, but chooses to do it anyway. With only one key and no stuff, we'll see if he opts for mimic clips or just goes straight up the front. Yeah, it's not hard. It's just, I don't know, kind of annoying. Swamp is a good find on jmeasher's side in the dam. Fair enough, I guess. So NinTaylor at this point needs to make, in order to get his Moon Pearl, needs to make a South Shore route. I think it's a reasonable thing to do now. Sort of running out of Light World stuff to do, but we'll see how long it takes him. jmeasher showing up Hype Cave at Agina. Which, as usual, contains nothing of interest. And with the book in hand, we're going to have a nice word with the gods, who conveniently open this door. Now this is a place you hope to find a connector, because he certainly ain't coming back out of here. And instead, it's the Golden Bee Cave. Not so useful. jmeasher taking advantage of old-fashioned Dark World access, which, I don't know, feels like cheating in Crosskeys. Finding the bomb shop. Make sure you track that one. It feels strange to me when the logic for Crosskeys is like, and then just take normal Dark World access to get there. Like, that's not how this is supposed to go. jmeasher deciding he doesn't actually need $20, which, with 724 rupees in hand, I think is entirely true. the Race Brothers right being found at Mini Moldarm Cave. jmeasher came out of there earlier, but they know that that's a Kakariko connector, which is not so exciting. On the other hand, Paradox Cave, always exciting. Ice Palace small, nice to have, not essential. Boots were somewhere inconvenient. Not Hera Basement. No, Hera Basement, the good part, as opposed to behind the coffee break. Hera was at Sahasrara's hut. My Navapyrol Castle, very useful. Sometimes in the commentary is just me saying where places are out loud. It's so I can remember to track the darn things. Some commentators have the skill to run 2 map trackers and give reasonable commentary at the same time. I am not one of those people. I'm sorry. Paradox Middle. Oh, going to the top of Dark Death Mountain, which is just about perfect. This is one of those places you're happy to find. You'd be happier to find it after you had a mirror in hand, but life goes on. I might have taken that heal there if I was jmeasher. And finding Hookshot Cave on Death Mountain. That's a thing. I enjoyed that jmeasher jumped down there before realizing that he'd been there quite recently. My Pick Friday. I'm glad you like it. I always think that this toad needs a bigger head. He's not quite as toady as I would expect, but Toad is totally the best. So. jmeasher going for his second Death World loop. Not entirely sure where NinTaylor's heading back to. Castle Tower small. That's a thing. So one of the underrated options for the entrance randomizer, I think it might be on the regular randomizer too, is you can set the heartbeat rate. And anybody that doesn't set it to a lower speed is doing it wrong. jmeasher finding the mushroom at, I think this is in the archery game. Location. Without the flute in hand, you really like to turn that in, but on the other hand, you really don't want to walk all the way over there. And Nin, with his gloves and his boots, does make his way all the way back around to the well. I'd missed that the Ice Palace Big Key was in here when jmeasher came through. I think I was busy tracking the entrance. I mean, Ice Palace Big Key is one item, but it's also a bit of a convenience item for roading in Ice Palace. Being able to actually go through the Big Key door combined with Icebreaker actually is helpful. And then Taylor opting to end their route at Magic Bat, given that they have the powder in hand. I expect we'll see them put out of here in a moment. One second. Sorry about that, had to sneeze. Yeah, both Castle Tower keys in hand probably brings the key under Lumberjack into logic, but small key logic is really, really conservative, and so it doesn't necessarily mean we actually need that. And Taylor opted to go to the back of Thieves Town. So a reasonable play with the big key in hand and some weapons. On the other hand, without the small key, only one of these items is in logic, but that's fine. You know, like, if you find anything out of logic, it gives you a bunch of information about where it actually is. jmeasher finding Hera with which will heal his boots any second now. Given that this is a light world version of Thieves Town, being afraid of these crickets is probably not worth any of your time. They're just rats, so they do a quarter heart of damage. No worry at all. I think on the whole, the version of this route that goes to Flute 5 first is slightly faster, but I understand why people do this in this order, which this is what they're used to. Other than the fact that he got the boots halfway through, but I think I have seen every possible way to get out from Eastern to the this cave down here. Every possible way to run down those stairs. Somebody could please time it and tell me which way is the fastest. I'd appreciate it, because as far as I can't tell. Everybody grown at Blind Spawn. And because jmeasher picked up all of the entrances over here as a bunny earlier, they only have to check the bot entrance itself, because it's turns out Kiki does not want to get paid by bunnies. It seems unnecessarily speciesist to me, but what do I know? And unfortunately, killing Brian only turns up a pendant. So it looks like the back of Thieves Town did not pay off for SuperNinTaylor. On the other hand, they were in the area anyway, so it's understand why they made the play. runners would like to turn off the mirror at some point. It's just excellent quality of life item, and they're having to do inefficient routing just because they can't double up the light world dark world checks. That's sort of the next really big thing for quality of life that they'd like to dig up. You'll still take that heart container. It's only the 9th one. This was Super Bunny earlier. That's a reasonable thing to leave behind, but remember to come back to. Without the mirror or the hook shot in hand, and Taylor has to do this route like it's intended. Without a mirror in hand, jmeasher is bonking off the wall just for funsies. There's actually a reason to do that, which is that it sets up the quick warp with the mirror correctly. Which I don't know how many people that do it actually know that that's why you bonk against that wall. But apparently, if you bonk against that wall just right, it sets up the mirror quick warp. Bonk. That's their fantasy for this league. SuperNinTaylor finding an actually valuable connector to the Turtle Rock Bridge. It's one of the must-exit locations in the game that is there always must be a connector to the right-hand side of that bridge, and it gets you, when you have the mirror, access to a bunch of other drop-downs. I assume that you stay here and do this stuff while you're here, because there's no reason not to, I don't think. This might even be our logical way to get onto West Death Mountain. Because Taylor didn't have to traverse any dark rooms to get here. Of course, now that they're here, are happy to traverse this dark room to go rescue the old man. jmeasher nicely setting up a death warp here. Hello, Mr. Green Guard. And the old man has a flute. That's a good out-of-logic thing to get, isn't it? I don't think at any point in this game we're going to be actively looking for a flute. So remembering that it's lamp locked is probably not important. But on the other hand, if the lamp hasn't turned up, it means that your flute locked locations, which there are not very many, unless the mitts turn up, aren't in logic yet. Taylor getting sort of beaten up by some cabbages. I think that's the back of Old Man Cave, but we shall see if anybody actually ever uses the connector. And Taylor having to check their map before hopping down, which, given that they turned up from a connector, it's sort of an odd spot. That doesn't surprise me. and is now presumably heading over here to check the 2 Dark World entrances. Wall kicks, I think I'd tend to agree. They were a little bit later than jmeasher in getting to a couple of things, but picked up their boots a little bit earlier, and I think are just ahead on total check density. Though according to AA's rule of thumb, they're behind on hearts, and so they probably have done fewer total checks. No interest in going into Mire at this time, which I think is fair enough. On the other hand, apparently SuperNinTaylor's running out of ideas. They knew that the old man was there. They saw that front entrance a while ago. And NinTaylor now making the Dark World plays. Nope. Taylor running around in circles. And heading back up to the castle. Apparently I've lost track of which runners checked what. Apparently NinTaylor hasn't done these 2 checks yet. But I think could have processed elimination that was the useless fairy. They've been everywhere else. Yeah, wall kicks. I agree. That whole save and quit sequence with the Smith was a bit weird. I assume that NinTaylor accidentally spawned there, or forgot that they knew where that was, and then couldn't figure out what to do nearby. But activating the flute totally would have been a good idea. Looks like jmeasher is going to do some sweet mimic clips in a minute. Nope, never mind. Lies. Back in Skull Woods, another good find. Though again, lacking a fire source, it's another one to note down and finish later. Yeah, done. Note that we haven't found GT, which we don't need, but has a bunch of items in it, and Eastern. But these guys have sort of, I think, checked off a lot of entrances so far, but haven't found the stuff they need to actually beat things. So they haven't been slowed down by actually doing stuff when they find various dungeons. It's all of our info, but it'll be a while before they have it, Zoga. Though I don't remember if NinTaylor also has the that map. And speaking of dungeons they haven't found yet, here's GT and its treasure trove of items. Looks like jmeasher is willing to do bump jump shenanigans, at least as far as Stalfos room. Seems to be the Samimas, I really appreciate the decision by the admins for this tournament to track the information as it's known to the runners, because that's the interesting information in a lot of ways. That's what lets you peer into the minds of the runners. jmeasher bothering to kill the bad guys in here, which surprises me a bit. Oh, I guess they're likely to bonk all the way across to the double firebar room now, which is actually in logic with just the hammer, assuming you have enough keys. And Taylor responding again at the old man. This time, did they remember to go turn on their flute? Looks like yes. Despite having both boomerangs, jmeasher going for bomb strats on the switch. Guess that's allowed. And ZeldaSpeedRuns playing everybody's favorite song. I'm not sure whose audio stream we're using. So ZeldaSpeedRuns, while they're ahead on stuff, has a whole bunch of sort of fairly empty checks to do that jmeasher's already done. So this is likely to even up somewhat, especially if there's something good in GT. So the odds that ZeldaSpeedRuns clears GT when they find it are pretty high. And jmeasher doesn't have particularly great stuff to do this Ice Armos fight. So, like, Hammer Armos does plenty of damage, but it's kind of obnoxious. At least with lots of health, you don't have to worry about just walking into the darn things a few times to do the wonky hammer hitbox. I'm not sure why ZeldaSpeedRuns is running back out of pod. You have a respawn point at Pyramid, and so that feels like it should just be faster. Oh, jeez. The fighter sword is nice to have here. Doing this with only the hammer is properly obnoxious. And yes, he has boomerangs. That's not my idea of a good time either. Is it, Zaga? The damage tables for Armos are so screwed up that I didn't know that. In which case, someone should tell jmeasher that after the race, so he doesn't do this to himself again. Yeah. I mean, some of the reasons for the boss damage tables are exciting is that, you know, we did rearrange their game, and so it's not entirely surprising that things are a little bit questionable. Oh, great! Big key to a pendant dungeon. Knowing working conditions in Japan, devs were much more likely hungover. Japanese salaryman culture involves a lot of being hungover. I say, Taylor once again showing off the sweet, sweet tech of just being able to go into the dark world. Not such a big thing in Japan. I hate this room. I'm glad other people also aren't good at it. Quick poll question: is that room the most obnoxious room in the game? I'll take other suggestions. And there's the hook shot, which would have made left side GT a lot easier. You have to make alternate suggestions. You can't just say no. You're finding the still vanilla big key there, because you would get soft lock with some probability. The entrance community has decided to leave that as vanilla. Dark Shoulder Room without a fire source at least has the virtue of not being in logic, so it's your own fault. The room just before Agatu I'll give you is kind of obnoxious as well. And yeah, digging up the swamp small is a good find, especially as he'll eventually discover that that's necessary. jmeasher yet to dig up the flute, and I don't mean that literally. Has to fake flip her up, or has to, yes, fake flip her up to the witch to turn in the mushroom. And while they're here, they're going to equalize on pendants with SuperNinTaylor, which is a touch unfortunate, but not unexpected, I guess. See if NinTaylor makes the yeah, Siri, that's a good point. Makes the correct decision to go out the front door before you do all this. So if you go out and back in, the randomness is a little bit better, and it means that once you get back here, you can just get wall mastered and not feel bad right there, instead of having to So, for those of you that weren't here earlier, we know that there is a small key of some description behind Pega 1, sitting in the tree, and so chat is busy speculating about which things could still be there. So Hulsa, as Chad has helpfully explained in that thing, this is Key Sanity, but it's Key Sanity with extra bonus to everything being shuffled, all the entries being shuffled. I don't know if ZeldaSpeedRuns ever checked Right Side Desert. I have forgotten. Chicken Penguin. Crosskeys is always 7 crystals, defeat Ganon, or fast Ganon. At least for tournament settings. If you're playing on your own, feel free to set it to something else. Note that if you set it to pedestal, the odds are that the game will require you to beat more of the game than if you set it to 7 crystals, because something obnoxious will be somewhere. I once had, the first time I did a pedestal Crosskeys seed, one of the 3 pendant dungeons was behind GT. So, oops. So Rob's not Key Sanity is actually a little bit harder for door shuffle because you don't enter the dungeons with keys, which actually makes it slightly more obnoxious, I think. I look forward to the day when we can run a door shuffle tournament and anybody can understand what's going on. For those of you that aren't aware, door shuffle is when you don't just shuffle the entrances, you also shuffle the rooms inside the dungeons by super tile. You get to go to all kinds of rooms that you never go to in dungeons. It's super, super fun and quite mind-bending. So if you ever get a chance, it's available. If you just search for door shuffle, it should turn up. And it's not quite ready for prime time yet, but probably in 6 months or a year it will be. So I'm bad, Robs, and it only takes me like 3 hours, maybe 4. And my streams just froze, so if something's happening, I apologize. Give me a sec to reboot. All right, I can see what's going on again. Sorry about that, guys. The vagaries of the modern internet got me. So I'm kind of surprised that jmeasher is doing this, given that they know that this is the green pendant. I assume that they're stuck for better ideas. ZeldaSpeedRuns with a few keys in hand, not bothering to kill the Pokey without any good equipment. I'm expecting a save scum if nothing turns up. So you don't need that many keys in Turtle Rock and Key Sanity anyway, so they might just call it good. So jmeasher could be going for the pedestal play, but I don't know if I don't think they have a good reason to do that yet. Just remember to let your fairy out of your bottle, Taylor, or save and quit. That poor fairy. So certainly Seru, jmeasher should know the crystal layout, given that they beat Thieves Town, and if they don't, that's on them. Some runners certainly don't bother marking it down once they have full information, which might be what's going on. I don't know. All right, so we're an hour into this race. Taylor's still a flute ahead. Skullwood's big behind, but that doesn't matter. And otherwise, we're looking for 2 rods, 1 cane, a bow, and a couple of keys yet, plus Eastern. jmeasher does have 2 whole boomerangs, which is definitely 2 epsilon useful. Unfortunately, 2 epsilon is equal to epsilon, so and Taylor are demonstrating the power of ether, which I think is just right in that room an awful lot of the time. I think a lot of runners underappreciate using their medallions. So jmeasher's been making good use of this paradox connector. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd time he's been through here. Taylor, those strats are not faster unless you hit them. Right. All right. That gets us to Hookshot Cave. GT small, nothing. Master Sword, not nothing. You'll take that. That was a good use of your time with your jmeasher there. jmeasher hasn't found the mountain yet. That's part of what's going on here. How did Taylor get up there? It was via Bumper Cave. Bonk Rocks to Bumper Cave. That being said, there's not a lot of things on the mountain, as I remember, but that explains a little bit why jmeasher is running out of entrances. Oh yeah, Mountain does have the flute, which is out of logic, but nobody cares. But the only way up on the mountain, unless I've missed another way up since then, was the Bonk Rocks by Sanctuary to the bridge by Turtle Rock to Bumper Cave. Which is a thing. Burnistrats on Ice Armos. I feel like should be able to go a little bit better than that, but still way better than this. Aren't pokes just better? You see, Dan, you see it. Burna Armos is totally a thing. It's actually probably the 2nd best weapon to beat Armos with, behind the bow. And then Burna Blind is also a thing you can do. Uh-oh. I'm getting angry faces in chat at me. Yeah, getting all the Armos is nicely bunched up. I think is easier in the regular Armos arena than it is in Ice Armos, just because the ice floor makes it kind of obnoxious. Hey man, the bounds of your knowledge gives me things to talk about, so keep not knowing things. That's cool. Nin back in pod, spending their one key to get back here. None of this stuff is in logic, but again, that matters only insofar as it lets you deduce where other things are. Well, that's the thing. It's a really good thing to find. And puts SuperNinTaylor way ahead. That thing, for those of you that weren't looking at the screen at the time, is the mirror in the dark room in pod basement. That sucker is locked behind a whole bunch of keys. And the lamp, which we still haven't found. Because neither of them had the mirror, My Pink Friday, they didn't bother checking the pedestal while they were in the area, even though they had the book. I think he had one key too few wall kicks. At the time, I think jmeasher used his one small going up the middle. It's fair, wall kicks, but at least. I guess what I'm saying is jmeasher is not entirely just crazy. I think, given the choice, he would have gone to the back. It's not clear to me. Yeah, I would have had to do 2 laps on the right-hand side with the mimic clip to save that key, which is usually not worth it. So, defensible option. So where the heck can the lamp be? And the problem is, lots of places. We know it blocks the flute, and we know it blocks the mirror. So, that cuts it down a little bit. It goes down a lot. But after a thoughtful pause and a look at my map tracker, I got nothing. I missed it, Rob's. jmeasher is really getting desperate here. Fake flippering up to hobo is not. It's not like that likely to pay off. I feel like it slipped their mind that they haven't checked Bonk Rocks yet. But their map tracker is very small on my screen. Nope, There's one green mark on their Light World map, and it's Bog Rocks. That's really unfortunate. And there is... Don't tracker click too many times. jmeasher forgetting that they were unable to get into the back the last time they were here, because you can talk to Sahasrara while you're swimming, but not get into the back. This game is well programmed. GT Big Key, a bit spooky. Pod Small, a good thing for jmeasher to find. And with mirror in hand, Taylor is here to both check this item, which I think they got earlier, and mirror on top of the pyramid to get 3 more entrances. You have to cape through this one. Not sure why jmeasher is going back up north. Running all the way across to Bog Rocks would be my guess. There's the Cane of Samaria. If only we could get it. Let's see if SuperNinTaylor can successfully hover this gap. One-time offer! No good. Mr. Pink, My Pink Friday, yes. Catfish was checked. It was nothing useful. On the other hand, that is something useful. I completely missed where the connector came from. Someone want to tell me where SuperNinTaylor came from to get to up here? Ah, and jmeasher finally finds Death Mountain. And Taylor practicing his hover fingers. Yes, left castle roof. Thank you, Blue DVI. jmeasher will be annoyed at this sequence of events, I'm sure, because that is a ridiculous way to have to get to Light World Death Mountain. Go back in and talk to that guy. I feel like NinTaylor feels slightly bad that they haven't found that connector earlier. They did a South Dark World sweep at some point. NinTaylor went in a couple of frames too early there. Yep. Oh. You have to wait for the first frame of the music. jmeasher getting lost on the way back to the old man cave, which isn't great. And now is going to be doubly annoyed that they didn't find this earlier. Finally picking up the flute, which I don't know what it gets them. It's not a lot. Semi-mass, they need another glove before that gets the Meyer area access. And given that they've already been everywhere in the light world, or darn near, you know, the thing that would have gotten them was Death Mountain access. But not today. SuperNinTaylor making the choice to run all the way across here just to read what this tablet says. Not having dug up the Master Sword in Hookshot Cave is where jmeasher found it. Or any of the other swords that happen to be lying around the country. But there's a find. The good end of Spectacle Rock. Unless I missed NinTaylor checking these earlier, which is entirely possible. jmeasher getting some new checks now. Hammerpeg entrance with $20. This is NinTaylor heading back to Meyer, which is down here somewhere, I believe. Oh, maybe after picking up this small key off the rock. Or not. And jmeasher finally digging up fire on lower East Death Mountain. SuperNinTaylor thinking long and hard about which drop-down they want to take. I think the answer is the middle one. Some indecisiveness later. Incoherent, they have a fairly good connector to the center drop somewhere in the Dark World. Now that NinTaylor has the mirror, I actually think that the center drop might not have been the right answer today. I agree that it's almost always the center drop. But given that the connector to TR Bridge is... you're going to have to do that anyway to check Mimic Cave. No, they found Mimic Cave. They got a Mimic Cave connector ages ago. It might have been the left-hand side. And yeah, the amount of indecision on NinTaylor's side is not great. But I feel like jmeasher was there 10 minutes ago looking for that last thing. for quite a while. And eventually they finally got to Bonk Rocks. Not quite. French Vanilla, Meyer Big. That's a dick move. Logically locked behind all 3 Meyer small keys. Let's not be fooling ourselves here. So we'll see how long SuperNinTaylor avoids going into Meyer because they don't have the Meyer Big Key. I don't know. It depends on how many other things they have on their mind. In a minor programming is hard note, I am not entirely sure why big keys when they're in the vanilla dungeons don't have a pop-up, and small keys when they're in their vanilla dungeons do have a pop-up. I assume it's because the items. No, I don't know. It's weird. Maybe that's still the most efficient route. jmeasher finding a convenient heart container there. But with the hookshot in hand, I disagree. Oh, no Canismaria. You're gonna have to get this and then get out of here. In terms of items, NinTaylor is still looking for an ice rod and a bow. And at least a couple of keys. Eastern Big. Swamp Big and Small. And Swamp Small is... One of those isn't somewhere... Or sorry, just Swamp Small. But it's somewhere awkward. Meyer Big. We know where that is. And the flips. Wall kicks. Do you remember where where Skull Big Key is? Yeah, that's yes. Which means they got it since they were in Skullwoods the first time. Yeah, yes, it's a matter of them going there. But if all you've left behind is the Skullwoods Big Chest, which I believe is true, plus the entrance in the back, because they didn't have the fire rod, that's not going to be high on your list, on your priority list. Yeah, now that you guys are saying it, I think left side GT does spring to mind. So SuperNinTaylor is now clearly in the lead, having their first crystal for about 6 frames before jmeasher got their first crystal. And with the Canismaria in hand, NinTaylor makes the choice to go right, and with the bug net in a bottle and the mirror in hand, you might as well stick a fairy in a bottle. My Pink Friday, you will likely see that when ZeldaSpeedRuns makes their way back to Skullwoods, or when either makes their way back to Skullwoods to check the back entrance. It's by far the most efficient time to do it. And this is jmeasher finally getting a hold of their mirror any second now, which will, I assume, make them feel very far behind. On the other hand, it's still super out of logic. It's only one key out of logic now, I guess. Or is it 4 or 5 keys to get there? Either way, they're still short a lamp. Don't know where the lamp is. Not a lot of places the lamp can be. And yet, I assume we're never going to see it this scene. ZeldaSpeedRuns, I'm making a funny face at ZeldaSpeedRuns for the decision to mirror twice to get a health refill. I'm with Wall Kicks that there's a fair chance that of the entrances they have remaining, that they both have remaining, a lot of them are mislocked. We haven't found any connectors to the mire area, which is the biggest. It's the biggest, possibly bits-locked area in the game. I say, as that happens. This is what happens when I lean forward to look at jmeasher's tiny map tracker. Where was that connector from? Somebody? Oof. That is a terrible, terrible place to put a connector. Left side race game. It's a mirror-only location, and to connect it to the mire area is a dick move. Sorry, my insightful commentary has been reduced to laughing at SuperNinTaylor. I apologize. It is kind of cruel of the game to insist that you actually have magic to open the door, but there we go. jmeasher about to find the mire area. And unlike ZeldaSpeedRuns, has a full magic bar. ZeldaSpeedRuns presumably checking their map tracker, or whatever they use to track locations, to try to see if they have a location nearby in the light world with magic inside the door. No, fairies do not restore magic. Only your health. And here's Easter. Cave 45, I believe, Rob's. The best named cave in the entire game. Actually, I think that one cave with a random name like Cave 45 is totally fine. Referring to all of them by their numbers would be bad juju, but like Cave 45 is a fine name. That's 2 French vanilla dungeon dailies. Does anyone know if SuperNinTaylor is on the Never Go into Eastern Without a Bow club? Because if so, that's bad news for Nintaylor. So after finding a connection to the mire area, I believe that basically just came up completely blank. And actually the place you want to mirror is K45. Which is something. Nintaylor heading back up with mirror in hand to check Turtle Rock, the left-hand drop on Death Mountain. Want me to pick up the full magic on the way by, which I approve of. So jmeasher's already double-dipped Pod. And so I assume they're not super keen on going in there again until they get some more keys. This trip yields absolutely nothing. So I think that after a while of it looking like SuperNinTaylor was fairly ahead and jmeasher was behind, Nintaylor finally got around to checking all those things that jmeasher checked didn't have anything in them. And Measher's found 2 critical items, both French vanilla, that SuperNinTaylor hasn't turned up yet. Which is not good for Nintaylor. Well, we still have 2 ice rods yet left. Done, because the eastern big key hasn't been turned up yet either, and it doesn't block hardly anything. Yeah, it was inside Spec Rock, which was in Hera. At least according to my tracker. So jmeasher has to do Ice Palace like a chump. It's mirror locked, except there is a... Yes, it's just mirror locked. I don't believe that there's a way to eastern... the top of Eastern Death Mountain either. I forget what's in Paradox Cave Top. It would have been good for Nintaylor if the big chest there was something, but it's not. In terms of decision making, I actually don't know. I don't think either runner has done anything sort of egregious or especially clever. jmeasher has been more willing to just dive stuff than Taylor has, and in this particular seed, that's paid off in spades because there's been 2 instances of important things for a dungeon being in that dungeon. jmeasher walking back down the stairs and saying to himself, "Grumbly, grumbly, grumbly. If only I had a cane." So it would have been much quicker. A little red vest for Toad, which is fine. Now that we have the mirror, there's no downside to the red cane. So. Man, there really aren't that many good connectors in this game. I feel like we're seeing an awful lot of old-fashioned Dark World access. Let's see if SuperNinTaylor heads left to Cave 45. I'm once again making a confused face at the screen, as that seems like a lot of work to set up a mirror portal, but I guess you can do that before you come in here. I assume that was NinTaylor changing their mind midstream. No. jmeasher with Tempered in hand should be able to take this down pretty easily. Yep, gets the puffs nicely in the corner. Pretty good. Less good. There we go. I started saying nice things too soon. And jmeasher getting their 3rd pendant. Shrug. I'm half expecting to see a ped play right here, and realizes they haven't turned on their flute. For another round of feeling less than clever. I kind of wish the Toad Sprite's spots changed when they got new males, not just the little vests. But jmeasher activating their flute at 143, heading to the race. That always feels good. And here's the pedestal play that everyone's been agitating for, I think. I assume that jmeasher will go via the Dark World and check the back entrance to Skull Woods on the way here. I feel like there's no reason to go straight up, but what do I know? I feel like that's not a crazy prediction. Wall kicks. That's something. If that's something, jmeasher's way ahead. That is jmeasher's like, I don't need your connectors. I can just fly to. So Barian, we're not going to get full all dungeons because we don't need to beat GT. It's just don't open that many spots, especially the connector to the Mire area. They do open up the Ice Palace front entrance, which might still be something. But my ability to use my tracker to decide which places they haven't found yet isn't so great. But yeah, Smiths, Ice, Hammer Pegs. Turtle Rock. I don't believe we've been spattered at Turtle Rock. No, Selbarian, there's just not that many entrances behind the myths. It feels like there is in the vanilla game or in non-entrance rando, but it turns out that they're just all the entrances you care about. And they also block, some Dark World portals, but we don't need those things. So, in most entrance seeds, the myths are not required. And then, of course, sometimes they are. And so we'll see if jmeasher turns up something in a myths locked spot. I assume that they're going to be pretty aggressive about checking them just because they've now invested all the time in going and getting the darn things. One thing we haven't found is Agate Tower. But Agate Tower is 2 items and a small key, and I think we have found all of the small keys we might care about. The only thing left is like the last Mire key, who cares? The last Turtle Rock key, double, who cares? Nope. Nintaylor's got all of them. I think we do not have any big item kits left. Paradox is done. Blind is done. Hype is done. Mini Molarm is done. Yeah. Yeah, Hera Small gets us 1 item. It would be quite the seed if that was necessary. If we need to find the myths, to find Agate Tower, to find the Hera Small, to find the Ice Rod, this seed is officially dicks. As it is, this is not going to be a very fast race. That would be pretty close to 216 out of 216, I think. jmeasher having some fun with spin speed, getting into the portal. And hilariously, I think Nintaylor will not be too far behind in getting the myths. Deadrock's doing Deadrock things. Which jmeasher apparently hasn't seen the other side of Spec Rock yet, which I believe is on East Death Mountain, top of East Death Mountain somewhere. Now we get to see if I have a memory. No, it's on the top of the castle, which leads to Floating Island, which is a thing. I have lost track of the PR instances. We have found at least the front laser bridge and one of the ones in the middle. Yeah, one of the swords was in Meyer. I don't remember the other sword is that jmeasher has that NinTaylor is missing. But fighter sword, cold stare, not anybody's idea of a good time. Hookshot cave. Oh, sorry, Coper. I thought it was Meyer. jmeasher's done both Meyer and Eastern, and Taylor hasn't. All right, here's one of our MITS entrances. We'll see if anything good. And here is NinTaylor finding Eastern. And at this point in the race, we're far enough in, and we're looking for enough stuff that even without the big key or the bow, in NinTaylor goes. Made the mistake of watching NinTaylor do something that I'd already seen rather than watching jmeasher do something new. I'm going to assume that there was nothing important in Turtle Rock, Maine. The Sank is in the pyramid, J. Coper. So they have both dark, traversed sewers to get to the back. The sewer key was super early, which made me a bit suspicious, but and presumably the runners too a little bit. And then there was nothing back there. They also haven't turned up the lamp yet, which locks the flute and the mirror, and yet is somewhere. Yeah, the early sewer key just takes off your mind any of the worries about which way to go in the castle, right? Like, just do it. Yeah. Given that they only just recently, like right now, effectively, both have access to climbing GT. No, NinTaylor is still missing the GT big key. They still couldn't get to the back to escape the hard way. It's a good thing that sewer key turned up. On the other hand, there was nothing there, which is disappointing. And here's that Master Sword that NinTaylor was hoping for their birthday. On the other hand, see Eastern. Seiru, no, neither of them has checked the back of Skull yet. They didn't have Fire Rod when they were there, and jmeasher chose not to go to the back of Skull Woods to check the pedestal, which I find a little bit surprising. It's probably a slightly longer run, but you at least get a little bit of extra bang for your buck. jmeasher showing off the ridiculously stupid hitboxes of blocks on switches in this game, which make absolutely no sense whatsoever. SuperNinTaylor going through the 4-step process to get back to Floating Island. Not entirely sure what they're up to after up there. At least they have sword beams for now. Take over. At least helps with the switch room. I'm not excited about this room, but we have our 1 fire rod shot, so. SuperNinTaylor getting to Hookshot Cave, getting there, Tempered Sword, and Swamp Big. So things we know that SuperNinTaylor needs to do include going back to Skullwoods to check the big chest, to get the Swamp Small. It's still not clear if we actually need the mitts or not, but they're on the pedestal. And NinTaylor just has access to that. I'm a little bit surprised. I feel like when you accidentally have all the pendants in a game, you kind of go check the pedestal just to see what's up, because it feels weird. I mean, yeah, SuperNinTaylor needs to pull the trigger on going to Mire, which I think this play is right here. Get your potion while you're at it. Yeah, at some point you just have to dip Mire, see what's in there. The fact that it's the big key will mean that NinTaylor can just finish it in one go, which is kind of nice. But and it's right here, so go do it. Let's watch NinTaylor's Mire 2 room. One of the opportunities to show off during the game. Yeah, that Mire 2 was nice. You wanted lamp on ped. That's even better. Oh, that's spectacular. Thank you, Mr. Logic. You're a jerk. Yeah, Rog and Throig. Titansmiths were on the pedestal. And it's still not clear. So certainly they're logically required, because the mitts locked the lamp, and the lamp locked the flute and the mirror. But it's not yet at all clear if they're actually necessary. Because they haven't locked anything that players actually need as yet. NinTaylor showing off this relatively new clip through the rail. I don't really know how that works, but it's apparently easy enough that when I was watching a co-op race between in the league a while ago, Futon managed to explain it to someone while they were doing it, and they did it first try. So People that are better than me presumably think it's not that hard. Yeah, doors appear to be the second buggiest thing in this game, GFE, after the Cane of Samaria. It's something about getting the door left-right collision to work while you're already off the door. That block nonsense right there, I believe, is a setup for Spooky. Though Spooky is a glitch that doesn't make any sense anyway, so I'm not going to try to explain how that works. Well, busy people are busy. I think that's my tracker's busy poking me. I'm Excalibur. I'm your commentator today. I'm flying solo, so sorry if I am slowly going mad. This is much easier with someone to talk to. On that topic, we're always looking for more volunteers. If somebody pulls up the Discord link, you can go on there and hop on and volunteer to do this job or to click the buttons. And today's butt clicking is being done by Samimas and Seiru. Yeah, there's an assortment of volunteer gigs to be had if you want to talk or if you don't want to talk. If you have good internet, you can help out restreaming and so on. Yeah, and there's lots of races. So at whatever time is convenient for you. So it's late in the evening for me. I'm in Europe, and so those of you that are either still working or just getting home from work in the United States, hope I made your workday a little bit easier. Seiru, no, they both went right on their second dip and then gave up after whatever the room was with the 4 chests. It's like 5 above you there. Hold and shift, bro. Join the Discord servers now. Well, Aga 1 behind the mitts, which is fair enough, really. We have all the keys. We know there's a small key behind Aga. That small key can be the Hera Tower Basement Hera key, the Tower of Hera Basement key. Let's get all those words in the right order. Which could be locking something important. But jmeasher is not interested. Which I think is fair enough. He's going to check this connector the wrong way, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, Jacob, I agree that checking the climbing Aga or beating Aga there is not worth it. But given that the best possible case is that it unlocks waiting in the basement of Hera. jmeasher finding the last interesting connector, which is up to Bumper Ledge. It's the last really awkward place that we hadn't found a connector to. and it's nothing. Um, We are still looking for 3 things. Jeez. Like, it's not like we're in an ice rod hunt for go mode here, folks. There's a lot of stuff out there still. We are looking for, at a minimum, an ice rod, an Eastern Palace big key, and a pair of flippers, which neither run or have. In addition, NinTaylor doesn't have the lamp, which is locked behind the pedestal, which has the Titan's mitts, which he has access to and can just go do whenever he wants. Presumably after they run out of crystal dungeons that they can just go beat, they will do so. And the Swamp Small, which is in the Skull Woods, in the big chest, which jmeasher got, happened to sequence in the right order a while ago. I believe they've made all the overworld flippers checks, so it's down to just the swamp checks at this point. But that being said, there's a whole bunch of checks in swamp, so. Yeah, J. Coper, I expect NinTaylor to pair Skullwoods with Pedestal, and also the entrance, the Skull 3 entrance, neither of them have checked yet. If flips are in Swamp, Regenthreg, we get to complain to Amazing Ampharos. He promised 100% completable seeds in this tournament. J. Coper, I believe it's very slightly faster because the wind-up time is slower, or is faster, but very slightly. The fact that J. Coper, or jmeasher, you're not helping J. Coper, is back here to check this one check with the 6th pod key, or the logically 6th pod key is something else. On the other hand, hey, it's Silver's. Yeah, Zelda, you're not wrong. And not only in pod, but really in pod. That's pretty consistently people's last pod check. So Measher is the one showing us new information at the moment. 5 checks at the cost of, some of the most obnoxious and difficult rooms in the game. Fortunately, Toad's all kitted up with goodies, so this shouldn't be too bad. It just takes a while. Yeah, Coper, that's fair. Yeah, it depends on what order you get your keys in. If you're going to burn the 1 key on either Big Key Chest or Harmless Elway, it's just a routing decision. If you've already done right side or whatever. NinTaylor turning in their green pendant while swimming, which is a thing you can do, apparently. And then I don't know what that glitch was. So, for those of you hoping for flippers in GT upstairs, Note that they're locked behind... that upstairs is locked behind the flippers. Does someone with glitch foo want to explain what the heck happened to NinTaylor? Right, okay. If you do glitch A while doing glitch B, rules are a thing. jmeasher unfortunately screwing up the firebar room and having to go do it again. Fortunately has plenty enough magic. Jacob, is that if you bomb yourself, you get your water rock back? No, okay. So I learned in a couple of races ago that I commentated that if you set up Super Bunny, you can bonk that door open, even though you can't bomb it open. Though, of course, that's not compatible with Moon Pearl unswimming yourself. If you have a stored water walk, do you lose both of them? Nozomotoshiki! We are missing the Ice Rod, the Eastern Palace Big Key, and the Flippers. 2 hours into the race. SuperNinTaylor is also missing a bunch of things that probably don't matter. The Titan Smiths are on the pedestal. They block the lamp, which is on the Smiths. And Aga Tower, which is at Ice Palace. Aga Tower blocks a small key. The only small key left that could possibly be that it's useful is the Hera basement key. Let's hope... Well, I don't know which way we want to hope, but... Swamps... Oh, sorry, Wallcakes. Wallcakes is right. NinTaylor also needs to pick up the Swamp Small, which is in Skull Woods, which is on his way to the pedestal, I hope. He's had pedestal access for like 20 minutes and hasn't been bothered, which confuses me a little bit. Falcon, Ganondrop is Sanctuary, so it's sank and it's been checked for a while. Jacoper, I don't know why they didn't check the big chest when they went right, other than maybe worries about having enough keys. So yes, Nozomotoshiki, Motoshiki? Pedestal is required by Mr. Logic. Whether it is required by real-life runners is to be determined. Well, yeah, I mean, it is an extra couple of rooms from the last chests on the right-hand side to the big chest. This is jmeasher heading to Meyer to complete it, I'd assume. And NinTaylor heading to Skull Woods and then the pedestal, I'd assume. So we've seen all this stuff. On Measher's map tracker, there are 3 unchecked entrances. One of which the back of Skull Woods. So, and unfortunately for me, SuperNinTaylor is not running a map tracker, so I can't give you the same report on the other side. So I wonder how excited NinTaylor, I assume NinTaylor is at least getting the 2 items out of here, will be to fully complete this, given that they haven't found the Swamp Small. And they know that there's a small key behind Aga. And have frankly found most of the rest of the keys in the game. There's like 4 small keys they haven't seen in the entire game or something. Given the quick swapping, I think this is not interested. Not interested. All right. Second thoughts? Second thoughts, do it again. All right. I'm This is a long way to go for one check, but and frankly, getting back here isn't that bad, right? It's a flute, a kind of obnoxious fake flipper, and a swim away. Nozo, no, it does not in Crosskeys. You still need real-life lamps to do these rooms, basically to avoid them being too early in the logic. Sorry, yeah. For even advanced logic doesn't get you up Mega Tower, but in Entrance they haven't yet made that switch, basically because it would be mean, because you would then sometimes be forced to do hard dark rooms with like 3 hearts and no stuff. It's the same with Turtle Rock. Still requires you to have invincibility items or Mirror Shield, because forcing people to do laser skips is with like 3 hearts is not cool. There's an insistence on the chat in the blue ball guessing game. Go ahead, folks. I believe we have already seen the big bomb from SuperNinTaylor. I'm sorry, I'm not a mod, so if there's an official ZSR guessing game bot thing, I can't turn it on. Somebody else got to do that. There's Mirror Shield. I'm sure Misha's super excited to get it out of here. SuperNinTaylor managed to leave one of the shields behind by reading the tablet before having the Master Sword. And so we'll save some small number of lag frames between now and the end of the game, which I'm sure will make all of the difference. This has got to be jmeasher heading to Skull 3. jmeasher now presumably slightly regretting not doing this check while he was doing the pedestal. Two items. There's a thing we need. There's not a thing we need. J. Coper, the Light World Lake Hylia entrance is a connector to Bumper Ledge, I think. To somewhere. But anyway, it's connector. jmeasher taking that Eastern Palace big key, one of the three things we were looking for at 2 hours and 20 minutes into the seed. Bumper Ledge, yeah. Sorry, I thought it was it's connector, and then I was like, wait a minute, it's connected to somewhere that actually doesn't get them to Ice Rod, or to Ice Palace. There's your Hera basement key, folks. Oh boy. I can't believe NinTaylor hasn't gone back for Skullwood's big chest. While we're thinking of things we're surprised that they haven't done. You know, given that presumably SuperNinTaylor is about to commit to standing in coffee break room for a minute. Alright, there's puzzle piece number 2. Flippers in Eastern Big Chest. At Skull 3, which actually is a place they've had access to for quite some time. And so, presumably, jmeasher is now feeling bad. So the Smiths are at race game right, which, you know, oopsies. I mean, it's basically 12 to 1 odds against the Hera basement, except insofar as we've had those Aga Tower keys for ages. Nah, we've got everything at this point. All right, jmeasher, now having an obvious logical chain of progression to follow, is doing that. So given that NinTaylor knew that the only key that could be behind Aga that mattered was the Hera basement key, I'm kind of surprised they're bothering with this other stuff. But that's just me, I guess. Like, I feel like they've done 2/3 of a check, and it took them 6 minutes. Beef's up Ream. NinTaylor is looking for Swamp Small. Oh, they knew that it was small. They didn't know that they couldn't get Swamp Small. NinTaylor, you're absolutely right, was sad that they didn't get Swamp Small, and is now here looking for it. We know that Swamp Small is in Skullwood's big chest. jmeasher is still looking for Ice Rod. Measher making the greedy play and going straight to the back. This is Ice Rod. We're here for another 25 minutes. This will be like the slowest winning time all year. Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot to say anymore. On the other hand, if it's not in Swamp either, then I have no flippin' idea what's left. J. Coper, I don't remember. I'll be quite honest. If jmeasher checked Steve's Town Big Chest. Thanks, Wallkicks. Alright, sorry I'm being quiet, guys. I'm trying to think up what's left if it's not Swamp. You know, if you're jmeasher, I mean, you're doing this, but while you're doing this, you're busy thinking up what else to do next. According to their tracker, they left behind hammer pegs for some reason. No, that's Shovel Spot. I lie. Their tracker is down to Shovel Spot and Lumberjacks. So Cooper, you're right. There's nothing on Floating Island. Given that they checked that more than 2 hours ago, I have no idea what is on Floating Island. So in order for SuperNinTaylor to have any chance, well, no, he's got no chance. I think. Because I just don't think there's enough things to distract Measher from wherever the Ice Rod is. There it is. At 2 hours and 30 minutes and change, jmeasher is in go mode. That's a race. And SuperNinTaylor finally getting around to getting the Swamp Small in a minute, hopefully. No, so I assume that jmeasher feels like he's going to get his opponent's going to dot done any second now. So he is not interested in checking the shovel. All right, then check. Let's go with 3. J. Cooper, I believe, yes. The only thing in the game he hasn't done is Aga 1, and therefore Hera Basement, and Shovel. Like, I think we're looking at about a 210 collection rate. And apparently one of the checks in Turtle Rock? Oh, Turtle Rock Big Chest. Incoherent. Yeah, they picked up a bunch of the freestandings in this game, though. 210 is probably not. It's probably too much, but. And with all the stuff you could possibly ask for, jmeasher drops into Ganon at 232. And after 2.5 hours of commentating, I would also like a burrito. Jeez. On to phase 3. Ganon decides to be trolly. jmeasher agrees for the Silver's double before lighting the torches. And GG's to jmeasher with a winning time of 2:34 in a couple of seconds. Oh. What a race. What a race. I don't really have any words for that other than yikes. I've been told that both of the runners will be joining for an interview in a moment, if people want to hang around and listen to that. And speaking of the devil, there is jmeasher, victorious with a delightfully fast time. How do you feel?
I mean, I guess it's fast considering how much of the game I completed. I'm feeling tired.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was definitely
Unexpected.
feeling like, yeah, I was feeling like, you know what, if this is how my tournament ends, then so be it. I was kind of resigned to my fate there for a little while, but the seed was just truly awful. So
Yeah, that was something else. The one thing I was surprised by that you did is choosing not to check Skullwoods 3 when you went and got the pedestal.
yeah, I in hindsight, and I was thinking about that, that would have easily shaved off like a half an hour or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that.
You know, assuming of course that I decided to do left side swamp, you know, after that chain, but I mean, it's entirely possible if I got to that point, I might have skipped it, given how little I had left. But I mean, regardless, I think the problem was that I wasn't really thinking about it. I was really distracted by the fact that I had just done all 3 pendants. I was just like,
just beelined it.
Hyper focused on pedestal. And the other thing was the Skullwoods layout made it so that getting back to that was actually a real pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, in hindsight, that easily cuts like a half an hour off the time.
Yeah, I given that you guys had to go to Skullwoods in the first place without the fire rod, that entrance was going to get orphaned. So a lot of the time you made up on SuperNinTaylor was that they didn't do GT before they did Skullwoods, and so they left behind the Swamp Small forever, and then also made the choice not to check the Skullwoods Big Chest and Skull 3 when they checked the pedestal.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
I was
presumably for the same reason.
Yeah, I felt like I was feeling really bad about that Armos kill I had to do my first time through GT. It's just so slow without the bow, and of course without Burna as well. But it ended up paying off for the most part, I guess.
So chat informed me while you were doing that the hammer and the fighter sword do the same damage to Armos. So
I always forget what the damage table is on that boss. So.
I mean, Armos has the most ridiculous damage table in this game. How'd you like that required pedestal, by the way?
Was it required?
Logically, yes. Actually, no.
Yeah, I was about to say, because like I was trying my darndest to make it logically required.
Not as hard as SuperNinTaylor did, who beat Aga to get the small key behind the lumberjack, which was
that was the one thing.
Key,
yeah, I saw that.
Was nothing.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, as badly as I want these myths to be in logic, I don't know that I'm willing to take the bait on that, because I don't know what it is. It could be the last pod small. It could be another wire small. And it's just one check. So
so NinTaylor at the time didn't have the swamp small either. Which I think tipped the balance. But they did get to the second Aga 1 chest, mirror out, and then be like, oops, I should go back in. Which
that makes sense from his position, certainly.
Yeah, I think there was only, I counted on the tracker, only like 4 keys that could possibly that he could be at that point. So it looks like SuperNinTaylor has called it a race, but we'll find out if they're joining us. This race has gone on for so long that I've forgotten all the things I was going to ask you about. How about all those French vanilla things in this speed?
I was like, it would be something for the seed to put after I got the Meyer big key. I was like, it'd be really something for it to put the cane in here as well, because that would be truly just terrible. But it like teased you, so it gave you what? It gave you the bow in Eastern, gave you the Meyer big key in Meyer, another bow in Pod.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was teasing you on those, but I was going into those dungeons fully expecting not to be able to complete them, just because I was missing multiple things.
Yeah, you guys were just missing, more than a lot of entrance seeds, right? You guys got all the ways to check entrances, or enough ways to check entrances early on, and then nothing to let you beat anything. And so you just clicked off every entrance in the game. Here's all the stuff.
Yeah, I think literally I have Shovel Spot and GT left.
Yep.
Obviously didn't do Aga, but
yeah, your completion I think is just about to scroll up. We were taking just before you turned up in chat, maybe you turned up a bit early, discussion about what sort of number we'd be looking at here, because it feels like a big one.
It is. It definitely is.
I think you're in early with a maybe slowest winning time of the tournament candidate. Though probably we'll see one that's worse than this at some point. But
yeah, I think that, and that's the rough thing about Crosskeys, is that I didn't feel like I played badly. Maybe one or two routing mistakes here and there. It just comes down to a few coin flips, and then if you do make a routing mistake, like skipping one check and it ends up being what you need, then it's really, really tough to get back there. That back of Skullwoods was so isolated after I got pedestal. So
197. That's actually less than I thought. You were easily over 200. So
yeah, I think I left a decent number of freestanding things.
Yeah, it's the freestanding things that get you. Yeah, and then there's the hierarchy in the Harrow basement that you got to skip. It looks like SuperNinTaylor will not be joining us, presumably because they are also tired and also mad about losing.
Don't blame them.
Jeez. Yeah, so unless chat wants to hassle you with some questions, thank you very. Let me. I would just thank you while I'm asking for. Apparently, Nintaylor has company. There we go. Thank you very much for the raise. Good luck next round. I assume you're still waiting on your next opponent, given that this is so early in the week. So
we'll see. I haven't actually looked to see who's potentially going to be, but
I have the bracket open in another tab. So let's see if I can figure out where you are on here real quick. jmeasher gets the loser of 55. So the race that you should watch is Hitsuyan versus T-Stew. Whenever that comes up.
Yeah, either of those guys are stellar runners and crosskey players. So it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough no matter what.
Yeah, I think the standard in this tournament it feels a lot deeper than it was a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I just think the crosskeys in general is such a weird mode to race because, like I said, so much of your time comes down to.
Well, there's a whole bunch of really high downside decisions, right?
Yeah.
Leaving behind a chest gains you 30 seconds and could cost you half an hour, and you make that choice, 5, 6, 10 times in a seed, which, when you get bitten, it hurts. Fortunately, in this seed, for you, you both got bitten by a couple of those choices, but
yeah. So I mean, for me, I don't really have much. I don't have super high expectations this tournament. I kind of just joined it just because I love running rando, even if Crosskeys gets a little bit rough for me at times. So I got to win. I qualified pretty highly. I already feel like I did more than I think I set out to accomplish at this point. So whatever happens, happens. And like I said, next round's going to be pretty tough.
That doesn't mean you can't win. Right. Well, there's been plenty of upsets and plenty of. I mean, you're not even officially. Might be an overdog in the next round. So don't count yourself out yet. But I'm glad that you feel like you're doing what you hope to set out to do. So good luck, man. Thank you to the trackers, Samimas and Seru, one of whom doesn't want you to track you, doesn't want follows, so don't do that. Thank you to our restreamer, Siberian, and hopefully he will find someone for the channel to host. Have a good night, everybody. Yeah, we can hear you. If I'm still on the stream, thanks for the race.
Okay, now you should hear me again. Oh, sorry. The next match of A Link to the Past Randomizer we will have in about an hour. It's between Dataplat and Asclepios Rod. And with everything said so far, thank you Excalibur for commentating, and see you next time on ZSR.
Have a good night, everybody.